Greetings, everyone. This is Rock and Roll Spot Connection with the weekly comic book roundup. And seems like last week's format change somewhat worked, I guess. Anyway, so we've got ourselves a few new books, starting with this week's X books, Spider-Man books, and a Marvel Cosmic book. Kicking things off, we've got Children of the Atom number 2. Where we left off, we were introduced to Children of the Atom. A group of teen heroes who appear to idolize the X-Men, but might not actually be mutants. Though they're convinced they are. Or, maybe not convinced they are, but figure that they are. The issue begins, the Avengers, there's a brief bit with one of the Hell's Bells talking to someone on the phone. It'll be revealed who later. However, the Krakoan embassy, three of the Avengers, Captain America, Iron Man, and Captain Marvel show up, wanting to talk about the kids. And while they claim they're not making threats about Kamala's law towards the children of the Atom, it does read threateningly, and they're basically told. And then Storm very pointedly tells them that they'll deal with things. And in all honesty, these are human laws, not mutant laws, so they don't matter. We get some backstory on Gabe, Cherub. That he explains that it's explained that when people look at him, they assume to know who he is. Black kid, plays basketball, father out of the picture. Probably has a lack of strong role models in his life. Skating by because he can sink a shot from half court. Troubled and trouble, lacking. But turns out, well, yes, his father is out of the picture. It's because his father passed away of cancer. He's been he's been in advanced math classes since second grade because his mother's a math teacher and had him doing high school math before he even hit elementary school. But this is all being explained as he's helping clean up after dinner with his family. Also, his mother used to be a Dazzler fan, or a Lila Cheney fan in high school. But yeah, the children, at least some of the team are going to a Dazzler show that night, and one of their fellow students is seen across in there, explaining that he got into Dazzler because Gabe Cherub brought him. Basically played some music for him, including some Dazzler track, and so basically kind of explaining, the song made him remember that things were, fun. But the four at the show get a message from Daycrawler, who's decided he wants to change his name to Nighty Nightcrawler. Turns out that the Hell's Bells are being broken out of prison by the member of the team that actually still has their powers, Briquette. So the children deal with the Hell's Bells. However, dealing with Briquette, that's a bit harder because Briquette actually has her powers while the rest, were depowered on M-Day. The team briefly teleports the room away and then are attacked again, but followed quickly by the Bells. However, Storm shows up alongside a few other, basically saying, Yeah, we didn't just drag you to the island. You know, it's your choice. If you want to come to Krakoa, that's your choice. And among those coming with Storm are Toad, who brought a portal seed with him, and so Storm, Toad, I think it's Husk with them, or is either Husk or Dazzle. I'm not sure. Plant a gate and yeah, go through it. And Storm gives Cyclops Lass an X-Men communicator. You know, though, it explains that there's something, that they can't be found in Cerebro, and so the X-Men can't find them should something happen. But yeah, kind of here, if you need us, here, use this. And the issue ends with them once again standing outside the Staten Island gate, about to step through. Which brings us to our next book of the week, Wolverine number 11. Interesting, Wolverine's the only X book currently with legacy numbering, but whatever. So, we're picking up on the Vampire Nation arc that began earlier in the series. The X-Force is basically using X-Force figures that Omega Red is being used against Krakoa by the Vampire Nation, and so they're kind of taking advantage of that and turning him into an unwitting agent of their own. Also, it does seem that the Vampire Nation wants, more than anything, Wolverine's blood. But we get kind of a montage: Minneapolis, Chicago, Detroit, various others. It turns out that up in Canada, the vampires were decimating small towns. Towns no one would miss, filling up trailers with the bodies, driving those trailers to big cities, and then just dumping a load of freshly converted bloodsuckers into the streets. Wolverine's been dealing with population control, so. But yeah, he basically, he's been going through killing these nests as they pop up. We get a logbook entry explaining that in Detroit, in the Brightmoor section of Detroit, Wolverine killed a bunch of vampires in a residential and commercial, or in a foreclosed and abandoned section of the city. Killed them good and dead. Minneapolis, empty granaries along the Mississippi River have been inhabited and were serving as giant roosts, killed as well. Chicago rail yards, hundreds of train cars rusting on abandoned tracks, basically as coffins. Wolverine decapitated a lot of them, burned them, and pissed on the fire to extinguish it. Buffalo, an abandoned church was hosting raves that decimated a portion of the young population, 17 to 25. One of the vampires got away. The rest were put down. But then and then Wolverine got some wings. But Omega Red plants a gate seed. Goes through and ends up on a cargo plane over Ukraine. Leaves the cargo plane and over Chernobyl. Goes speak, and he goes to talk to Dracula. Now he does explain the issues he's having. There's another bit of the logbook. Basically, Beast has an idea. Basically, offering up Wolverine with a toxin in his blood to but he kind of just prefers to go about it his way. Stabbing, hacking, slashing, also bringing in Louise. But Omega Red does explain to Dracula that the rest of the Krakoans don't trust him, and so Dracula's, well, you need to offer them something, and Omega's like, what do I offer? What can I offer? Dracula says, Russia. In Paris, Logan meets with Louise. Apparently, he sent a letter. She didn't answer it. And she's been occupied. But it's explained that the Night Guard has been infiltrated by the vampires. They had a monthly meeting, and Louise was bit. And she explains she hasn't fully turned yet, fighting off the infection with inoculations of garlic and holy water, but the change is inevitable. And Logan wonders if the vampires should infiltrate the Night Guard. Where else are they? Oxford University, where there's a scientist working on how to make the effects of Wolverine's blood more permanent for vampires. And his research assistant is turned and become a new subject, as most of the subjects the doctor is using are mongrel more just kind of not as prominent. But Omega Red comes to Sage and Beast to tell them something, while in Paris, Logan's letting Louise drink from him, while they're unknowingly observed by another member of the Night Guard. And that is where the issue ends. Which brings us to Black Cat number 5. Where we left off, Black Cat alongside Black Fox have been working on getting various materials for a heist. They're planning to rob the interdimensional vaults of the Thieves Guild of New York. And yeah, they did kind of get Black Cat and her crew, Bruno and Doc Corpse, did get a little involved in all that mess, that slimy symbiote mess recently, but that's over with. So we open with a flashback. Felicia telling Black Fox that she basically, Black Fox, hey, look, I know I've taught you everything I can. You're great. I may be your mentor, but you're no longer my student. But she's gonna try something, break her dad out of jail. And she also tells him she's going with the name Black Cat. But the heist, the grand scheme has come into fruition. Bruno and Doc are going to be on one end of things, while Black Fox and Black Cat go down into the vaults. It's explained that the vaults are actually in a strange dimension. looked, and the deal made was with the Gilded Saint, described by the Fox as an alien god of wealth and death. These are all things that well, Fox didn't tell Felicia. But it's added. But the reason this happened is because of the fact that the New York Thieves Guild was excommunicated from the other thieves guilds of the world, meaning they no longer had the backing of the external Chandra, or Chandra, not Chandra, Chandra. Wrong universe there, wrong fandom. But Chandra would give the Chandra had there was a whole thing where the members of the guilds would get eternal life via Chandra. It was covered in a couple issues of XMen, as well as an issue of Ghost Rider, and a few episodes of the cartoon back in the day. But we also learn that Black Fox is dying. Nothing can help. He's tried everything. Doctor Strange, no, that's not gonna. Not even Doctor Strange can help. He's tracked down Yi Yang, sent away. Zheng Zhu is dead. He has no gods or demons to bargain with. He even went to Dracula, who remembers that Black Fox stole from him, and figures, yeah, my revenge is you get to die an old man. But turns out the plan was not to steal the wealth, but rather, well, Fox's plan wasn't to steal the wealth, but rather summon the Gilded Saint, basically trying to get immortality for himself and for Felicia. What does he offer in exchange for that? Manhattan, as among the things that Black Cat stole for him for all this, was the deed to the island of Manhattan. And that is where the issue ends. So, okay, we'll get to that. Next up, we've got Spider-Man, Spider's Shadow, #1. This is basically a what-if story. In fact, you can kind of see that in the corner there. Little question mark. So, Spider-Man's black costume, which he got during the first Secret Wars, turned out to be a living organism. He got rid of it, and then it tried to bond with him, and again, Spidey got rid of it, and it ended up bonding with Eddie Brock, became Venom, and now Eddie Brock is God King of the Symbiotes. That's quite yeah. Anyway, so this is set around the time of Amazing Spider-Man number, I believe that's 258. For some reason I thought it was a 298, but yeah, anyway. But Peter's having nightmares, being unable to save the people he loves. He goes out, there's this exposition, he saves an old woman, then MJ shows up and wakes him up, and yeah, but she realizes something's up with the costume. Later on, he fights, on his way to see Reed Richards, Spidey fights Hobgoblin. And it gets a little brutal, actually. And he even unmasks Hobgoblin, revealing him to be Roderick Kingsley. Destroying... This is the point where things kind of go differently. Because... Yeah. But, he goes to talk to... Black Cat as well, explaining something's off with the costume, but he's going to go to Mr. Fantastic about it. So he does, and oh yes, this is a living organism. Human Torch even admits, yeah, something is off with Spidey. And Reed notes it as well. But while the tests are being done, Spidey drifts off to sleep because he hasn't been sleeping too well. And Reed offers to, take this, take the costume, so it can be studied. That way, maybe whatever is happening between Peter and the costume, it's probably they're likely going to try and bond with Peter. That night, he goes to visit his aunt, but when he arrives, he's being watched by the Hobgoblin. They talk a bit. He's trying, they're mending fences. Things have been a little rough, but they're soon attacked by the Hobgoblin. Spidey fights back, and I want to say the Goblin Glider crashes into Aunt May's house and explodes. Spidey tries to run in to save May, however, the costume is holding him back because fire will hurt it, kill it even. And the house explodes. And that's the point where Peter and the symbiote bond. Hobgoblin gets whipped up to a tree. And then Spider-Man kills him. That's where the issue ends. And this is the first part of a 4-part miniseries, so yeah, it's gonna interesting point. Way back in the day, I want to say in the 90s, there actually was a What If issue that dealt with what if Peter Parker bonded with the black costume, or kept the black costume. There's been a few different versions of this. But in that one, as I recall, it drains his life energy, and he ends up becoming an old man, eventually dying of old age, even though he was technically only in his mid-20s. But yeah, I think there was another one where he ended up taking on the name Poison rather than Venom. But yeah, anyway, final book for the video. We've got Guardians of the Galaxy number 13, legacy number 175. This is what the last few issues have actually been counting down to, in all honesty. Where we left off, the Guardians, after saving the universe from the returned Titan, Olympians, they're kind of the big intergalactic heroes, and their roster is growing. It's we got an explanation. The Guardians of the Galaxy have been many things: soldiers, misfits, thieves, and above all, family. With the galaxy in shambles for constant attack, it doesn't need heroes; it needs superheroes. There's an attack on Throne World 2, which is the capital planet of the Kree-Skrull Alliance, which is built into the sacred ruins of Hala. Emperor Hulkling is ordering a retreat. Turns out the attack is by the progenitors, who are referred to as being extragalactic Type 2 world mind level civilization dedicated to scientific experimentation. If I remember correctly, they were involved in the Infinity crossover back during Jonathan Hickman's run on Avengers. If I remember correctly. I think that was actually when they were introduced. But they're basically seeing how using a mutagen on Kree and Skrull to see how they react. Turns out that the Guardians' new base is a proscenium, which is the Interstellar Diplomatic Station, headquarters for the galactic peacekeeping efforts. It's also where the post-Empire peace talks were held, and where the Snark War began. But so there's also a newly discovered Rim world that Nova wants to be kept apprised about. But there's a group there: Phyla-Vell, Drax, Quasar, and Marvel Boy. There was a research team that was exploring the planet, and kind of, maybe they just had some communication problems. However, Drax finds their bodies, and yeah, but there was some, basically, potentially speaking, an ancient Skrull cult is responsible. That the Guardians are. Hulkling gets hit with mutagen, and Wiccan manages to, does what he can to purge him of the mutagen as Guardians arrive. This team consisting of Star-Lord, Groot, Nova, Moondragon, Gamora, and Rocket Raccoon. Gamora and Rocket take out one of the progenitors. Star-Lord uses his element gun, combines his element gun with Groot attacking another one to take out a second, by having Groot basically grow through the progenitor. Nova then explains that, to the last progenitor that, hey, go to your little lab, go back to your people and tell them this galaxy's guarded. But Moondragon gets into the head of accesses the mind of one, discovering that they were told about the Alliance. They didn't know about it. They were told about it. The other group on the Worm World has found the cult, and turns out that there are now two quasars, but it's very much it's similar in how it works, how the whole Rick Jones, Marvell, Genus Vell thing work, where basically he slams the quantum band together, and Wendell Vaughn is then replaced by Admiral Kincaid. But it's kind of and the other one ends up in a kind of limbo. And, Wendell, when he gets there, he realizes he should run a podcast. But it's an ancient Skrull cult. They're wanting to take down the Alliance. Thing is, the cult isn't just Skrulls. There's a Corbomite, various other sentient intergalactic races are there as well, joining up. And back on Throne World, it's revealed just who it is that told the progenitors about the Alliance. Man who is one who has mastered all arts, all sciences, all secrets, whose technology and magic cross stars as easily as they scramble an alpha telepath's mind. He is simply the king of a single nation on a single planet, a beloved garden tended by iron hands. And the only title that this person has ever claimed was Doctor. It's Doom. It's Doom. That's where the issue ends. Though the covers for future issues kind of imply Doom will be involved. So thoughts on the issues? Shows you have it. I'm invested enough to find out just what the deal is with the kids. But I do hope they get to it quickly. Wolverine, it was solid. I was kind of surprised. I shouldn't have been surprised by the whole Louise has been turned thing, but yeah, I'm definitely curious to see where the rest of the story arc goes. I imagine it will likely end with Omega Red being tossed in the hole with Sabretooth, but we'll see. Black Cat, that was unexpected. That was all those reveals. I guess I'm not surprised about Black Fox the fact that Black Fox is dying, but everything else, he wasn't trying to steal rob the vault. No, he's trying to make it. He's trying to outdeal the guild. Spider's Shadow. Wow, that was that's one way to kick things off. As for Guardians, okay, so for the last couple of years, I've been hoping to see like a Space Avengers title that would feature, among others, Wiccan and Hulkling. I always envisioned it as being kind of, as well as Quasar, to be perfectly honest. I imagined it. I imagined this team of intergalactic Avengers kind of operating alongside the Guardians. But I like this. It basically making the Guardians the Avengers in space. And I'm looking forward to seeing. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing where this all goes. It's a strong opening salvo for that, and I really dig the way Al Ewing's been building up to this for the last year. But anyway, that's it for now. As always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Links to my Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, and PayPal can be found in the description box down below. This is Rock and Roll Spock signing off, saying live long and rock hard.